Hey, what's up, everybody? What's going on, Belmont? So I want to do a live stream testing the new SCART Cleaner. This is something that came out a while back, November 2022. I think we were supposed to have this released. The part shortage, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happened. But I wanted to go over this. I was going to do a full production video, but I have absolutely no time. I have the script done, so I'm going to skim it just to see. And let me do a live read of this of the script just for the hell of it. The SCART Cleaner is a device that changes the sink in your SCART cables to be compatible with devices that require a higher voltage sink. It also has a low-pass filter and outputs via a D-sub connector. Version 2 is now finished, completely open source, and even available to purchase. And you probably don't need it. Stick with me and I'll explain why, as well as show you how to have them made yourself. Which I don't know if I'll get to that in this stream, but I figured I'll have some fun with this. So I guess I'm going to also talk about the history next, because that's what I had in the script, and it would make sense, because so many people ask about why this thing is the way it is. Actually, in fact, let me see if I could, I have one of the originals here, just to show you. I hope I do, just for, yes, I do. Although the originals didn't have a case on it, but the original has a DVI-I connector. And the reason for this, the only reason for this, is because this was designed to get SCART into a Datapath Vision capture card. That was the only purpose of the SCART Cleaner originally. It actually has quite a few other purposes, which we'll go along with in a minute. But so that is it. Now, the reason it has a DVI connector is because I incorrectly assumed that we would be able to find these, but for DVI. Very, very thin couplers, so you could just push it right up against. So the theory is that in the analog video world, the shorter the distance, the better. And also, without as much leverage, you could kind of plug one of these in, stick it into the side of your capture card, and then essentially just have a SCART plug directly in. And as long as there's proper strain relief, that would work fine, except these do not exist for DVI connectors. And apparently they never have. So that was 100% my mistake. I designed it with this just so that I figured it would be a direct connection, and there were no plug style. There were only standard receptacle style, so you can't go directly onto it. And in fact, the only thing were these. So while this is fine, and this certainly won't add any interference whatsoever, that still is, like an inch wide. So the whole time, we should have had a D-sub connector on it. I will take full blame for it. Now, as far as performance goes, there's no performance difference, so don't worry about that. If you bought one of the originals, it's not like you're screwed for performance or anything. However, what you do end up with is the same exact length of something. DVI on one side, and this is plugged, so this will go right into it. And I could actually only find those with the receptacle side, so you actually need both. Where did that other one just go? But that's not a big deal. Wait a minute, where did I just put that one? Uh-oh. Stream hasn't even started and I'm losing stuff. It was right here a second ago. Did it fall? Yeah. So you would need one of these couplers, one of the thin ones. And then this would go onto the end. And if you wanted to, you could still do direct connection into a Datapath Vision capture card. And it is essentially the same length as the original. So while the original design, I don't want to call it wrong, but it was wrong. The thought was right. And unfortunately, the other reason that this was a very bad mistake is because no matter how many disclaimers we put on the website, no matter how many times I explain to people, this is an analog DVI connector, I still used to get at least one message a week saying, they bought one of these, used a DVI to HDMI connector, and they can't get a signal on their TV. That drove me crazy. I even had one person, which this happens a lot, so I probably shouldn't even call this out, but I love the Dunning-Kruger know-it-alls that are like, hey Bob, I found a mistake with your product. Did you know that you would sell more if you moved this to a VGA connector? As if I never thought of that. As if I spent hours working with people to design this thing and hundreds of hours testing stink strippers and just never once thought maybe I should use a D-sub. Funny enough though, they were right. Maybe not in the moment, and maybe not while they were writing that, but they were absolutely right. So this is the latest version. You could connect it directly like this. You could use a D sub to BNC connector to break stuff out. And we are going to start testing this thing and show you exactly why and how to use all of this stuff. The very basics, SCART in. We could try 480p, but this is not at all designed around that. This is designed for 15 kilohertz signals. And even if 480p works, the low pass filter is not going to work anyway. And what could you possibly need 480p out of that you wouldn't have with another connector? This really is a 15 kilohertz designed product, but SCART in, and this is just RGBS output. It might look like a VGA connector, but the red, green, and blue signals are passing directly through with no interference added. And there's nothing being changed with the video signal. The only thing that's happening is the sync is getting stripped and amplified. So if you were to somehow run this back into a SCART connector, you'd blow it out. So this is meant specifically for any device that needs full voltage sync on RGBS, like the Datapath Vision cards. On the other side, audio is broken out via a 3.5 millimeter connector. And these are tested and verified with MD Fourier. Now, every single connection that you make in the analog audio world will lower the quality, but this is an imperceptible amount by your ears. And in fact, I've even used this to do MD Fourier testing for product testing, for audio interface testing, and this was able to do it. So I wanted to be clear, you know, if we want to be pedantic and audio freaks, yes, every single thing that you plug into changes the audio, and every millimeter added will change the audio, but you could actually, I mean, provided you have shielded 3.5 millimeter cables on the outside and shielded SCART on the inside, you could use this to break audio out to go into like a Mo2 box to do MD Fourier analysis. So it is safe for that. And it is powered by USB. It is not powered by the SCART connector. If we have time in this stream, I'll try to mod one to be powered by the SCART connector to show you what happens. But essentially, the purpose of this is to take measurements, including capture, or to interface with like an Extron crosspoint or other Extron equipment. And if your SCART voltage isn't exactly right, then the sync stripper isn't going to get the correct amount of voltage. So the voltage might be too high or too low, and you don't want any of those things. So if you know for a fact that you could power it off of your personal cables, it's the easiest mod. You just run from the voltage pin to the 5-volt pin, but I don't recommend it for that exact reason. How do you know the voltage unless you've measured it? So that's why, you know, don't be sending me the emails saying I made a mistake because SCART has voltage, because it doesn't always, and the voltage isn't always consistent. So I'm going to check the chat for a little bit. I'm going to see if there's any questions, and then I'm just going to plug this in and kind of start going. So let's see. Uncut and unrated edition, yeah. Hey, what's up? Castlemania is here. By the way, this is in stock right now. So if you click on that link, which it is an affiliate link, I should have added that so some asshole in the comments doesn't try to report me. I just haven't had time to do the full page yet. But yes, if you would like this, absolutely, just buy it right now. And I'm going to show you what this is for and why. And let me just double check there's nothing else here I wanted to show you before going in. I'm going to switch to the other video view. All right, so let me... So we're going to do just the very basics that you might imagine. Let me get the thing over so I can see it. And by the way, when I'm over here, I'm not going to be able to see the chat, so I am not ignoring you. Just give me a moment. I'll be switching back and forth. So we're going to take the SCART Cleaner, we're going to take an SNES, and we're going to have a couple of things to show on it. I'm going to do kind of an easier one first, and then we'll go through and show the rest of it. My OCD, I'm always trying to keep these wires as short as possible. I should just undo it and redo it later. All right. I have one of those light things up there, or multicolored lights. So every time you turn on the switch, it's a different color. And so if you saw the color flashing in the background, that's what that was. Also, I forgot to do this. My apologies. Select white balance. There we go. Might not make too big of a difference, but that would annoy me if I saw that later. Analog video channel. I presume you've already made it super clear that this is for RGB SCART and won't work on stuff that only outputs composite, S-video, or component. So yes and no. So this won't do anything to the sync because there is no sync on component, but if you're just passing video through, it'll pass through. Now, I could think of a million better ways to, and cheaper ways to just simply take a SCART output and break out the RCA connectors, but if you actually had something like an original Xbox running it at any resolution through SCART, like if you had your original Xbox that was modded with one of those SCART cables that does component video over SCART. So actually it wouldn't be modded, it would be the custom cable original Xbox. You could use this to go from there to a D-sub to RCA connector, and it'll just pass it through because the red, green, and blue lines are just passed. There's nothing else to it. But there would be no purpose to using a sync stripper at all with component video. If you're talking about low-pass filtering, we built one of those too, but then it was kind of decided between the people on the R3 forum and myself that I guess you don't really need that because you could do oversampling, and some people tested and said theirs worked for a while and then didn't. So it was one of those things that was kind of we just canceled it, you know. And also the other reason that I was originally made I called it the comp cleaner was for anybody that wants to hook component video directly up to a flat panel but needs a switchable low-pass filter to clean up some of the noise, until I started doing research on analog signals adding latency to flat panels because of their crappy chips inside of them. So once I found out that, it was like, well, why are we bothering? So let me fire this up. Actually, we don't even need video yet for this one. You'll see why in a second. Power this on. Bitfunks is a clone company, so not only have they probably stolen whatever it was that you're talking about, it'll probably last a month and then die. So I strongly recommend not ever buying anything from them. I've had so many people message me over the years like, you should just buy the Bitfunks one, it's cheaper, you know, who cares if it's a clone? And then a couple months later be like, it died already. I'm like, yeah, well, that's what you get. That's what you get. All right, let me make sure I'm nice and in here. All right, run. So let's go over to sync. And this is directly into the scope. So what we're looking at here is a full composite video signal. Here's all of the chroma and luma, and that square wave right there is the sync on the bottom. So I could measure this real quick just for the point of it. So let's so sync is at about 332 millivolts, and it has all of that stuff inside it. So we are going to then unplug this thing. This is the RG Bench by Cordimoto, by the way. This thing is ridiculously helpful. If you have any scope, you should seriously consider that. Direct 75 ohm termination. I mean, I did a couple of videos where I talked about how important that is, so you definitely want to consider it. Of course, I'm missing that coupler again right away. That's going to be the thing in the stream, I bet. Every 5 minutes, I'm going to drop this coupler or something. All right, I found it. Coupler's on. So now we are going to plug the SCART Cleaner directly into the scope. And let me grab some power real quick. Actually, so we should be getting nothing on either because And now as soon as we power it on, here it is. So let's flip the switch. Let me grab a screwdriver. Nostalgia flip and fix. What will this fix the Neo Geo AES and L series PVMs with the odd curl to the top of it? I don't think so. I think an Extron active RGB interface sync device will do it, but you might need this to go into the Extron. So that's kind of interesting. Bought by Bitfunks by accident on Amazon and returned them and reported the seller as counterfeit. Thank you. That's perfect. Oh, so in Brazil, because of the import taxes, yes, I know. I've worked with a couple of Brazilian companies to try to bring these products to you and have them made there to get out of that. So that's absolutely that's something we're working on. I totally understand, and we're trying. All right. Oh, analog video. So maybe somebody in the UK plugging a VCR or something into this and hoping they'll get VGA over it. Yeah, you know, I wouldn't say this if this was a high production video, but in my live streams, I'm as blunt as you could be. You can't fix stupid. If somebody reads if you know, Ryan's page, my page, and all the information says this is a sync stripper that does not change, it's just RGB to RGB, and somebody tries to use it to convert it to VGA, it's exactly the same answer as if they were thinking the other version was able to output HDMI. It's just, it's not, you know, this is a specialty device, so. All right. Whoop. So let's remeasure this again. Okay. So, all right. Here it is with it off. And here it is with it on. So you have the voltage. Odd that the voltage is still high with the sync stripper off, but it's not high like damaging your equipment high. It's just higher than direct. Oh, wait a minute. There might not be 75 ohm termination on this. Hold on. I jumped the gun. I jumped the gun. I apologize. Hey, look at that. Exactly how it's supposed to be. So we're still using the RG bench as 75 ohm termination. So now we could turn that back up, reset this, and that should be the exact same as before. Yeah, there you go. My mistake. So 350-ish. You could nitpick about the scope readings all you want, but so here is the full composite video signal, 328 millivolts on sync. Now watch what happens when we turn the sync stripper on. If I can get my screwdriver in there. Okay. All you have now is a square wave and no composite video data whatsoever. So that turned that 350-ish millivolt composite video signal to a 2.5 volt, so about 5 volt for TTL level, standard C-Sync. So this is not SCART level. Once again, the output of this is D-sub because if you needed to go into a SCART device, you wouldn't use this anyway. So that is, that's the main feature right there. It also works with C-Sync, and I'm going to do some other measurements showing that other cable as well. So let me switch this over, and let me back this up here for a second, and I'll set it back to autofocus just for a moment so we could get this in, just to kind of give you an idea of what we're doing. All right, so we'll take the sync on composite cable out. Here is a sync on C-Sync cable, because even though it's just C-Sync, which should be compatible with things like Extron crosspoints, which it is. There might be some devices that you actually require a higher level voltage, even though it is C-Sync. Other Extron RGB interfaces might be it. Well, we're going to test that too, by the way. So where is my 240p test suite? Actually, we're going to use the HD RetroVision test ROM only because you don't have to press anything. So these are 100% color bars up here, so we should be able to get accurate readings of everything. So I'm going to plug it back in directly into the RG bench. 75 ohm termination is selected. Now let's get back to the scope. All right, manual focus. All right, so we could raise this up. By the way, the size, meaning like how much of the screen this fills up, is only relative to how far you zoom in. So while this might look like it's a larger sync than before, what you're actually seeing is just zooming in at a different level. Anybody that knows how to use the scope is rolling their eyes like, we know, stop it. But just trying to make it friendly for everybody, even people who want to learn. So we're at 318 millivolts. This could be off by 5. My thing could have been off calibration, but you know, it's for the purpose of what we're doing, it's more than enough. Stringer Films, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. They want to know what's a good entry-level scope. So let's, I'm going to drop a link to exactly that because it's just much easier than trying to explain. So, all right, so if you scroll down on this page, you will see something that says $30 scope. That's as cheap as it gets. I still actually recommend getting an RG bench, which is also linked on that page and more expensive than it. But if you watch that video, you could see why. The next one I would recommend is the Rigel because that's the one that all of us in Retro use. So even if it's overkill for what you're looking for, then if you have problems, you could probably message any one of us and we'll just be like, oh yeah, I know how to fix that. Whereas, you know, the $30 one, you know, it's a $30 scope. You get what you see what you get with it. In that video, I kind of go over why you would or would not want it. So that's definitely something you might want to check into just in case. And then there's also that Owan scope that requires a PC. That's kind of halfway between. It's definitely more accurate than the $30 one and a little more easy to use, but you still are tethered to a PC and it's not as functional as the Rigel. But either way, I would buy the RG bench. So I just did a screenshot, direct sync. The lines are fine. I could be a little bit more accurate, but for this purpose, we're fine. We're not making anything. We're just basically measuring. The use case for this, someone needs to connect something like an Extron crosspoint that requires this level of sync. Dr. Claw, if you're using a crosspoint, the only reason you might use this is simply for PlayStation. Or I guess if you end up with another cable that is not sync on C-Sync, but every other console has C-Sync cables available. It's only PlayStation 1 and 2 that if you needed to use SCART, you could only get Sync on Luma or Sync on Composite, which is why you would need to use something like this. So now, once again, my scope is not calibrated. Each one of these channels is probably going to read a little different. So we're not judging the mod here. We're judging the differences between each channel with and without the SCART Cleaner. So this is a baseline reading that I'm taking for that. So let me, so this is 656 millivolts on red. This number could be off, but the purpose is it going to be the same through the SCART Cleaner or not? So even if the measurement's actually 680, if we're getting the same one on the SCART Cleaner, then it doesn't really matter. Hopefully this that makes sense, but if it doesn't, please let me know and I'll re-explain. It's always a healthy balance between trying to get everybody's information out correctly and not just word vomiting all the time. Like this one, where is this? No, it's about the same. So, yeah, we're not bad. But like I said, the purpose is before and after through the scope. Or through the SCART Cleaner into the scope. Direct green. Mark, the NEC XM29 requires a sync stripper for most signals coming in via BNC. Would this potentially replace a sync stripper cable by putting this in the middle? 100% yes. Absolutely. This is exactly what you would use it for. And you could even just use this D-sub output to go directly into the VGA input of the XM29. Whatever's easier. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, 100% you nailed it. Now, to be clear, there are other devices out there that can also do it, and there's nothing about this one that makes it that much better. It's just that this was designed and thoroughly tested by some crazy super nerds, because the original purpose of this wasn't, I just need to get something working on my Extron crosspoint. The original purpose was, I want to take absolute deep dive analysis measurements of different consoles. So we need everything to be as accurate as possible. So I'm not saying the quality is going to be better, but the quality is not going to be worse. That I will confidently say. All right, so we have red, green, and blue directly into the RG bench. Steve, this cannot output RGB HV. We probably could have designed it that way, but that was, once again, not the purpose of the device. It was to go RGBS into any devices that required higher level sync. And D-sub is an output only. It's a single directional. It's not bidirectional. Mark, if you needed a SCART connector, you could actually just use this. You could... I know it seems redundant and there are probably cheaper solutions, but if you're just looking to do something like, I need tools for my toolbox, you could actually go out of the SCART Cleaner into the HD15 to SCART and get perfectly clean sync at the correct voltage. And we tested that really thoroughly too, so you're not going to lose any quality through that as well. Honestly, don't know if it could handle 480p. The low-pass filter will not work with it. It won't do anything because the low-pass filter is supposed to be only for 15 kilohertz, but I don't think there's any reason it wouldn't. However, if you're using the Dreamcast, you wouldn't need a sync stripper. So, and in fact, if you're using the Dreamcast, you might want to just get VGA cables into an Extron RGB interface if you're going into like a D-series BVM. So yeah. All right, so let's, we're going back through the RG bench, so we know this isn't going to affect readings at all in any way. Swing this around. So we'll start with sync again so that we could set the trigger. As you can see, it's going crazy until we set the trigger. And we need to oh, come on. Damn it. I hate it when my scope does this. There we go. Whew. You turn the wheel too fast, and since it's digital controls, sometimes it spikes in. It's hard to... All right, here we go. Trigger. So once again, the size of this waveform is relative. The voltage is 2.56 volts. So even though we're sending it a clean C-sync signal, it's outputting a higher voltage clean C-sync signal. Sync. I'm just taking screenshots. If you're seeing me walk away every time I do this, I'm using the scope to do screenshots so I could add it to the page and stuff like that if needed. I should connect more things in line. Oh, gotcha. All right, let's keep going with this. So trigger is set, sync is good, so let's go to red. Move this down. All right, let's see where we were at. So in the original measurement, I was a hair over both. So let me set it to be the same. I think. All right, let me try to get that the same. And let me tell you what they were before and after. So through the SCART Cleaner, we're at 652 millivolts, and it was 656 direct, so that is a measurement difference. That is not a... Actually, let me just show you on screen here real quick, just so that you can see for yourselves. And in fact, if you're using scopes at all, this is something that you might ever run into. And so it's good to know. All right, so on the right is through the SCART Cleaner. And if you see how the measurements don't quite line up, right? So there's a little bit more of a spacing on the top of the waveform, a different spacing on the bottom. So that's going to account for the difference between 656 and 652. You know, while it technically, yes, it's a difference of 4, if you start to get into scope measurements, and especially analog video signals, 4 millivolts is like the same thing. So I just wanted to show everybody that so that you would know for yourselves. If you start using scopes and you start doing stuff like this and it's like, oh, is it off by 4 millivolts? No, I would guarantee you that if I really sat there and I tried to zoom in and I tried to get the top and bottom line perfectly and took 10 captures of each, they would all average to the exact same thing. So this means, also if you could, if you see on the picture, let me zoom in here, do you see the interference and the clipping on that top of the square wave coming out of this SNES? They're the same on both. So that means that this signal was not changed whatsoever when it was passed through that THS 7374. So that's good. That's a zoomed in way of showing that your signal is passing through and nothing's really happening other than the low pass filter being added, which is switchable. So let's just move on just to keep showing through, just because it's me. I got to be thorough. Single. So we'll show the low pass filter a different way. I think y'all will probably laugh at how I demonstrate that. Come on, where is that? Okay. So let's see what we have here. And I'm not going to obsess over the measurements like I was before, like I did with red, because I think I just explained it well enough so that you should be able to figure it out. So green direct was 648, and this says 652, so same exact thing that I described before. The measurement is off by just a hair, but the actual line measurement, not the measurement of, not the signal's not being changed, the measurement's being changed. So we got green, let's just get blue just for posterity here. Center that, move that sucker down. I really need to reset the scope one of these days. All right, let's see what we got there. I'm too far on the bottom. There we go. Oh, that's funny. Well, I'm going to show this now just because this is, I was just telling you, you never get two of the same reading. This is direct, the color blue. And now I'm going to add through the SCART Cleaner, through the color blue. Exactly the same. So hopefully this is going to be a perfect example of what I was talking about last time. The measurements laid perfectly the same way. So maybe if it was off a hair down here or something, but yeah. So we're getting the exact same millivolts. Everything looks the same. So red, green, and blue are not affected at all. The only thing that is sync, which is exactly what it should be. Dr. Claude, did you do any kind of technical analysis on the Mamba cable? Because unfortunately, the last couple of products I have reviewed from them have gotten worse and worse, and they've gotten just more and more upset with me every time I review it, and it's sad. I liked them a lot. I considered them friends, but they ship the products to customers and then ship it to me to test. So I'm kind of having a hard time knowing what to do, because if your products are already at customers, I have to just tell the truth, because I mean, what else am I going to do? Whereas if your products are shipped to me first and I find a problem, I don't tell anybody ever, because I'm giving you time to fix the problem. And then if you don't fix it, that's different. But so yeah, I think they're really upset with me for that. But what am I going to do? Lie and say that their products are fine? They weren't. There was major issues with every single one. All right, so we're going to go into test patterns. No, I think video tests. Yeah, checkerboard. Okay. So I think you could all see the phase reading up, or the checkerboard pattern up here. So what I'm now going to do is take a DVI to VGA cable. I'm not sure if my autofocus is going to work with this, but let me see if I just put my hand back. Yeah, here we go. DVI to VGA cable, and that's what I'm going to use. So I want to do that just to stress the point that you don't need this direct little connection there. You don't absolutely need the shortest connection possible, as long as it's within reason. Come on, autofocus. Spent all my money on this damn camera. It'd be nice if you worked. So we are just going in with the VGA, and for this first test, I'm going to be leaving both the sync stripper and the low pass filter on. In fact, because you'll see why in a moment. Also, if this stream crashes, please stay on. I have it set up thanks to the stream professor, Epos Fox. I will be able to just reconnect, because for whatever reason, 1 time out of 10, when I plug something into my Datapath Vision card, my whole PC crashes. So I'm going in now, and we'll see what happens. I forgot my Osprey card's plugged in here now too. It's getting in the way. Uh-oh, another second here. All right, plugged in and screwed down so it doesn't pop out. Just grabbing a fizzy water, no beer yet. There is no, Marcello, there is no component video input. It is only SCART, and it does need a power supply. If you go back to the very beginning of this after we're done, I'll be able to show exactly why. All right, so I'm going to do some screen sharing. So I'm not going to be able to see the chat for a bit. So my apologies for that. I might be able to see the chat. So we'll see. Hey, Pastor, how you doing? What is this? 8-bit Esquire. I don't know what you mean. Is Roger here? All right, so let's go. Okay. I forgot to plug the SCART cable in. What a genius. Thing's called the SCART Cleaner, and I forgot to plug the SCART cable in. Way to go, Bob. There we go. Okay. So now we need to go to the R3 wiki to know what it is that we're looking at. So r3.fyi. We're going to go to SNES, and it's going to show that we need, where is it, a horizontal size of 341. You all see that, right? If you want to know what I'm doing here, I'm not going to waste all of your time. I did a 45-minute deep dive video on this. So 341. And it's showing 320 by 250. So we'll go 320 by 250, exclude borders, 8. We'll apply that. We want to move this position over. Okay, vertical. So now we're looking to set phase until it looks all right. Let me double check. So we're at, oh, horizontal size changed. That's why. I'm not going crazy, right? That was 341. Yeah, 341. Okay. Position. So let me magnifier. So do we see this? Is that coming through? It's probably, internet compression is probably killing this. What you're looking at is a checkerboard pattern. And my apologies if this is if this isn't working right. Phase. So the goal is to get it so it's sharp with no interference. And I think I got it. 16. Yeah, that's about right. And now we'll go back to the main 240p test suite menu and we'll check that. Well, actually, that should be enough too. Where is the, we're looking for a sharp scale in this, damn it. Go to settings, smooth edges off, invert colors. All right, so I think we're good to go here. I think we could do some screenshots. So let's, so we're going to go phase, checkerboard, LPF on. So this looks good. Everything should be fine. Now let's turn that low pass filter off and see what happens to the checkerboard pattern. I'll open Photoshop for this so we could zoom in. Hey Zach, a SCART Cleaner is a device kind of like the one that you designed, but that people could actually buy and use. So, Do I have a video series dedicated to lag? Many. Many videos dedicated to lag. All right. So let me zoom in by 1,000%. Here's neighbor. You should be able to see this. But if streaming compression is killing it, I apologize. I will absolutely post this stuff later on. Yeah, you can't quite see it. All right, we'll take some more screenshots and do that. Yeah, Zach, that was very fun. At my little comment on the Q&A a couple of weeks ago. So let's just go to the main page and we'll do screenshots here and see if this helps. Of course, the ones I did the other day showed it perfectly when I wasn't live on stream, but you know. Let's flip that on. And by the way, if I just turned the sync stripper off, we just wouldn't get a signal because it needs to be the higher voltage. So I'll demo that before we're done just to show you, but it's really not very entertaining. It's just on and off. Zach says, "Hey RetroRGB, I released the DP SCART output for free. Is your SCART Cleaner free, or are you sucking all the money up so you can afford your lap band surgery?" I've lost some weight, sir. I think I look quite spiffy. All right, let's see if I can get that in focus, and I'll do one more. Hopefully this could show it. Yeah, of course, the one I'm doing live on stream, you could barely see a difference. Probably not going to see the difference at all after streaming compression hits it. That's great. Sorry, everybody. After the stream is over, I'm going to be uploading screenshots to the website just so you could see the difference. But yeah, that's pretty funny. So it looks identical, near identical in these two, but the low pass filter is there for a reason. So there you go. So let's switch back to the other view and see what else we could test with this thing now. Let's see, where's my screwdriver? Actually, let's see if I'll do a video drop, signal drop too, just to see what happens here. So that's it. That's with the sync stripper off. Can't seem to get my screwdriver back in here. And sync stripper back on. So yeah, that's a easy way to just show. that's why you need this for Datapath Visions. Brian, if you mean once this goes DIY, as soon as I have time to write up the page, the files will be uploaded and you could make them yourself. I'm going to try to do it tonight, but life's been a little bit nuts, so yeah. Oh, Voltar. You know I'm not touching that fucking thing. If I touch it and I say nice things, I'm up to something. If I touch it and I say the truth, I'm lying to shut their company down. If I make a joke, I'm evil. I don't... They've made it so I just can't even say the product name out loud. So I can't. But what I can do is show some more stuff with this. So let me grab an interface and see what we could do. I think I have one here that would be fun to mess with. All right, we have an RGB 203 from Extron. I haven't used one of these in a while, and I actually don't even know if this one works and powers up. So we're gonna try it out and see right now. And we're gonna do this all live on stream, because what could go wrong in one of my streams? All right, we're still gonna leave it at the 240p test suite. And I think the best way to test this would be BNC out into this monitor here. So we're just gonna borrow these cables and do it that way. These cables were, so when I'm using the scope to test in real time, I use these T connectors that Steve from RetroRGB taught me about, and I have the termination turned off on the RG bench, and the monitor acts as the RGB termination. But the problem with that is, as these things age, their components age, and they're not all the same. So if you have a device like the RG bench that's absolutely measured so that all of this termination is exactly 75 ohms, great. But how do you know this R is 77 and B is 69 and whatever else? And you find that quite often with these RGB monitors, is that it's very close, but far enough out that it would actually skew your measurements. So that's why for stuff like this, where we're just showing general stuff and, you know, probably taking a measurement or two as we go, it's totally fine. But if you're doing things like testing products, it might not be. And in fact, one of the Martin's 129X replacement card is pretty damn accurate. So I was using that for a while, and I never had a difference. But when I switched to the original Sony card, it was off, and I didn't even realize it until after I had sent a friend of mine a message like, "Hey man, I think your sync's off or something, or your green's off," because and it turned out to be the monitor I was using. So that was luckily I forgot who it was, but most of the people I work with are freaking awesome and would find stuff like that funny. It's not like I put out a press release like, this product is off in green. Like, I was just talking to them like, hey man, am I doing something wrong, or is your product off a little bit? So yeah, good lesson to learn. All right, so green. And then this one's blue, that one's sync. And I need a VGA cable. Hold on, I got one of those right here. I'll just keep one of those handy. Oh, Brian, yeah, those, yeah, that'll be a little while longer, but I think those are going to be awesome, and I'm really looking forward to doing a bit of a follow-up on it. No spoilers, but it's a little different. Just as good, but a little different. All right, so let's see. We are in input 1. Why are we not getting an output? Uh-oh. It would suck if the Extron isn't working. So I'm getting a signal on the input side, but I'm not getting output. Huh. Let me flip all the dips. Maybe you can see the monitor up here, right? Yeah, that's very odd. Maybe this thing is broken. Well, let's see what happens when I turn the sync stripper off even though we're using a sync on C-Sync device, will it drop or will it stay? Because even though we're not getting a signal output, this would still, for the purpose of this test, would still work. No signal. All right, so you know what? My Extron might be failing, but this test certainly isn't. So we have no signal here. And as you can see, the only thing I'm going to do is flip the sync stripper on. And we have 15 kilohertz. So it's, even though this is a C-Sync cable, you still need the higher voltage sync to work with Extron equipment. Sucks that it's not working on the output side though. I like these Extron devices. Let me double check I have red, green, and blue all plugged into the right ones. I promise this isn't going to turn into a me troubleshooting my Extron device stream. Although my fellow nerds watching would probably enjoy that as much as I would. Yeah, weird. Not working at all like that, huh? Nothing? Too bad. Well, I guess it's broke. But at least we have, at least the input side's working so we could do that demo. That was actually still really helpful for this video. Let me see if I have any other Extron equipment I could check with real quick. I do actually. I have a 580Xi. I didn't remember even owning this anymore. I thought I sold all of mine. Oh, look at that. Analog input. And that's, I really should label these wires. Red. That is sync. Man, I haven't tested either of these in a very long time. I wonder what the heck the problem is. Okay, we got a signal. All right, so it's working through the 580Xi. You know I'm going to have to test the other one now that it's working, right? We have a signal here. I'm going to I'll put up the HD RetroVision just so you could see full screen colors. Although one of the colors is off, so that might be it. Let me double check. Red. All right, I have green and blue reversed, so that explains that. All right. Maybe that was the case in the other one. We'll find out in a minute. Hey, look at that. All right. So we have colors up here. Let's see if it works without it. Nope. Sync stripper off. Voltage is too low for Extron equipment. Flip it back on and it works. Let me just grab that other one real quick so I could know. I know for sure, but because if this is broken, I'm gonna have to fix this on another stream someday. So we're gonna go red output, green output, blue, sync, Input 1 and power. Let's see what happens. Do we get anything? Oh, cool. Well, it's working now. That's nice. And once again, just to show the same demo, sync stripper off, sync stripper on. So I'm going to show a few more things, but that's basically it. That's the whole point of the SCART Cleaner. Either a device like the Extron crosspoint switches where you need clean sync, you can't use like sync on Luma or sync on composite, or for any time you need a D-sub input with higher voltage sync, even if you're already using C-Sync. Let me clean this up and I'll take any questions and I'll just keep going just to see what we got. Hey, Bubba. What's up, Beast? Winter Hell. Apache's in the process of repairing her crosspoint. So I have kind of an opinion on this. And it really is going to depend on your scenario. If your Extron crosspoint is the perfect switch for you, you need a bunch of inputs and a bunch of outputs all at the same time, matrix switching, all of the awesome features of it, can handle component, S-video, composite, RGB, and VGA. If that's what you need, it's definitely worth fixing. Because even if you're stuck doing a massive cap replacement that takes a week, you just do it an hour a night or something, you're going to have a switch that lasts 20 years. So you don't really have to worry about anything anymore. So I would think that it's worth it. Now, on the flip side, if you have 8 component video inputs and you want 1 or 2 outputs, as much as the G comps are expensive, you buy it and you're done. And you don't have to spend any of your time on it. So it's something very serious to consider, is how much of your time you're spending on these things. If you have sync on green via 3 RCA, what should they buy to convert their VGA monitors? One of those devices that I just showed, any of the Extron RGB interfaces will do that. You don't need to buy the expensive one. You could buy like the 192XI and then make your own power supply by, just cut the ends off and, make sure it lines up. But you could do that for fairly, or even if you bought an Extron branded power supply, you're talking $50 max. So that's definitely something that's worth looking into for you. But those interfaces are pretty handy. If you need to convert like RGBS to HV, sync on green back and forth, those are really the go-tos. And, they're used, so much like the crosspoint, you might end up having to recap it at some point. But overall, I think they're just really solid pieces of equipment that handle quite a bit. And while things like the HD15 to SCART can do something similar if you're going from RGB HV to RGBS, it uses a passive XNOR sync combiner, which isn't compatible with everything. It's not going to hurt anything, so if you plug it in and it doesn't work, it's not like you have to worry about blowing anything out, but it just might not be compatible. All right, so let me go through and see the box of the old stuff I had here. Let me show this, and then I could start showing off the circuit board for this thing and talking about some other stuff. And what time is it? I should be able to hang for at least another hour to show this stuff off, but you never know. So this is the thing that Voltar was talking about. Where is autofocus? Here we go. This is the, let me get my top so I could use that as a backdrop to, here we go. This might make focusing a little easier. So this is the one that Voltar designed, and it's incredibly similar in that it doesn't have a sync stripper that's always on. The low-pass filter switch is here, and it could accept SCART and outputs both DVI and SCART. But the purpose of this was for people who wanted to do something similar. They wanted to go into a Datapath Vision while streaming, but also go out to SCART to another device. So it wasn't quite the same thing, and I don't think he ever made them in bulk. And they'd be more expensive to make because the little things start to really add up. But this is still a great device. There's nothing, this is going to perform identical to the other one. It's dual output setup. But if you really need dual output and you're going to spend some money, now you're talking like, why not get into SCART territory? Because you could absolutely have one of those, and you could even have one of the older ones with the VGA. So we'll see. This is the case that I'm going to be uploading the file for. This is a PCB case. So all it is, you have the PCBs made as if it was a piece of electronics, but it isn't. It's just two PCBs that allow for the case to be like this. It's easier access to the switches. You don't need to stick a screwdriver in there. To be honest though, you're 99.9% going to want both of these things on anyway, so that's not a big deal. And you know, it's cheap to do it this way, but you don't have it as nice as Greg's case. Let's see what else we got in here. I still have that original one I showed before. This is an old beta. I should really toss some of these so I don't get them mixed up. We got a couple of these prototypes. This is the comp to DVI that I was talking about that really is kind of useless now. Come on, focus. Focus. There we go. And that would be the same thing. It would be component video in to DVI output with, this doesn't need a sync stripper, so it's just a low pass filter switch. But that didn't really need it because if you're going from HD RetroVision cables in, you know, it's much better to go and do other stuff. Here's the second prototype that we had made, and this is the one that may still be on the website that I'm just going to take down, but this has a dip switch selector, and this allows you to select between 15 kilohertz, 480p, 720p, or 1080p. So this was very helpful for direct testing, but also kind of useless. And the Tink 5X really made this irrelevant. And I'm not saying that because I'm friends with Mike. I'm saying it because if it didn't, you'd be able to buy these right now. But why would you spend 50 bucks on something that cleans up sync to get a direct capture when you could, you know, put the Tink 2X in pass-through mode up to 480i, or you can get a Tink 5X and have, you know, near perfect phase every time. So it's one of the many reasons why we canceled this one. I do wish I had kind of finished it off just for the hell of it, but it would have been kind of useless. So I think that's it for the cleaner stuff. If you know what this is, that's coming in about a month. Sneak preview. Can't quite talk about that yet, but all right. So let's get in and see if we could assemble one or two of these. Oh, by the way, this was another Voltar design. This is nothing other than SCART in and BNC out for people with RGB monitors and stuff like that, or even crosspoints. If you have a crosspoint and you don't need a sync stripper, this one is perfect. And I think Zach may have uploaded a version of this that has a sync stripper built in. So this is another really good one for crosspoints. I just find that it's much easier to use D-sub than BNC when you're hooking up to crosspoints like that. And it's also cheaper. You can get good VGA to BNC cables for pretty cheap. So let me check the chat. A Pasher. I'm outputting to an RGB modded Trinitron, a VGA monitor, and a RetroTink 5X. 2 consoles outputting YPP-PR, and 3 outputting RGB. Crosspoint is definitely the solution. And in fact, if you wanted to get crazy and you had a bunch of money to spend, you can get an RGB to comp and a comp to RGB and some custom cables, and you could always have them rerouted if you wanted to. So if you wanted to play your component video console on your RGB modded Trinitron, you would use your Crosspoint to route it through the converter back out too. So each one of those would take up one input and one output. But I had that working and it was cool. Shank walked me through that one. All right, so let's take a look. Here is my sack of SCART Cleaner. That was that cable. Let's see what we got. We have a couple of them unassembled. Let's see what we got here. I have a stack of cases. I don't know why the hell I ordered so many cases. That must have been a mistake. Let's see what else we got. All right, this, I get that. So, I believe this is the production version. Let's, and here's where another one of those things went, couplers. So let's plug in and test this real quick, verify that it's still working, and go from there. And I'm going to go through the monitor for this one. I think we should do it that way. So I'm going to need a quick second to get those T connectors back in. Because now this is the perfect example of we just want to see that there's signal and that the voltage is changing. We don't necessarily need the exact down to the millivolt reading. So if this one's off, this one's off. So we sync. Sync. Blue. It is a pain in the ass to get these things in. Maybe I try. Wait, you can't even see. My apologies. Let's spin you over here. Here we go. Yeah, I had the other one backwards. Let's flip that around real quick. And green. I'll make the last one red. All right. How was the stream today? Bob dicked around with T connectors for about 10 minutes trying to get a scope plug back in live. Yep, sorry. All right, that should be all set up. And I'm gonna grab my Nomad just because it should be a little easier to fumble around with than a full SNES with power cable. Hey, Koala. Yeah, nuclear armament. This product has been out of stock for like 3 years, and it never should have been. You would be surprised at how the part shortage killed everything. I mean, everything. It was weird. Things that should have never been affected by it, like the VGA connectors. Who would have thought? So, all right. So, I have it up here. I have it plugged into the scope. So, all I'm going to be doing is just verifying. All right, let me. I saw a very weird signal coming from this thing. Oh, I'm an idiot. Hold on a second. How did those go in the wrong order? Okay, here we go. Way better. Off. Just getting the signal. By the way, for anybody curious, even though this is a non-conductive piece of wood, I still all the time make sure to wipe it down just in case there's any like little metal specks on it for shorts. So all the time this thing is made sure that it's clean. All right, so we have, let me try to get this in view so you could see it. All right, so sink stripper off, sink stripper on. You saw it jump, so that's working. I'll verify voltage, but we don't need to go crazy because we already did. We basically just want to make sure that the one that was already assembled was done correctly. Yes, perfect. So what I want to show now is Greg's case. I think there's at least one of them. And I can show the PCB case afterwards. So go back to auto. I think you have to, because of the curvature of the SCART head. Now these come pre-assembled, by the way. You're not going to have to do this, but Greg's cases are so nice. I always want to show them off. That's it. That's it. We're done. That was a SCART Cleaner case assembly. However, we have 4 of these suckers left and 4 SCART connectors. So let's make some. I have how many more of Greg's cases? I have 2 more of Greg's cases, and I could do 2 PCB cases. And now I could have SCART Cleaners extras for my friends. So if y'all are bored, no problem. I totally understand. Jump right off. We're just going to be doing some basic soldering. But if you want to hang out, I'll check the chat between everyone just for something fun to do on a Friday, and also because I want to clear these out. I might have to go at some point. I'm waiting for a couple of things to happen, but Try Optimum, thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated. It's because of me and a few others in the retro gaming modding CRT community that got them interested. Thank you. That's really nice both to hear, and also thank you very much for the super chat. That is very cool. Yeah, totally agree. Greg and Todd are both awesome with this stuff. So let's, all right, I'm gonna hang these wires here for when we're testing. Nomad's off, so the battery isn't dead. And so the other reason that you might, well, the other reason I left these off was because this was originally supposed to be a high production video where I did an ad for JLC PCB in it, where I essentially did exactly what I used to do on those weekly roundups when they used to sponsor me. But then they stopped sponsoring me, so they can go fuck themselves. No, I'm kidding. It had nothing to do with me. It was internal stuff. But so if you have these made in production, unless you have large quantities made, don't even bother speccing the SCART connector, because you're not going to find anybody that has one. So you're going to have to order them without the connector and add it yourself. And this is about as easy as it gets. It's more time consuming than anything. Let me crack a window here. Ooh, that's chilly. I'm gonna crack it a little less. But I think this is if you needed a handful of these, if you need one or two, buy them, just buy them from Ryan. I think Retro Gamer Stuff's going to have them at some point. It's just much easier. But if you need like 10, like maybe you've already bought a bunch of equipment and you need to interface it like this, you could have them made. That's also a really good learning experience in itself, because having stuff made at those manufacturers is a pain. You need each one slightly different. You need to go by their rules. And it's not something I would recommend anybody do unless it's going to be a hobby of yours or a business. Like if you're like, oh, I want to have 5 made, it'll be so much cheaper if I just have them made myself. Why are these $50? It's not that much worth of parts. Yeah, try having them made yourself, and then you could feel like an idiot afterwards. And I only say that to you because I'm so confidently, because I've been there before. Even things like those RGB mods I used to sell, people just don't realize what actually goes into making, selling, and distributing these things. It's so much more costly than just parts and manufacturing. But those assembly companies are great, but oh man. Does anybody remember those ads I used to do? I know most people just skipped over them, which is completely fine, by the way, but the people that listened got a very harsh lesson in how much it takes to make these things made in bulk. Those ads used to take longer to make than the stupid weekly podcast, too. But JLC PCB never once criticized me for them. They liked them. They let me be me. They let me do my thing. So props to them. I never once heard well, can you be a little bit more, or do you have to mention? The only things I ever heard from them was, hey, you're reusing that screenshot footage. That was for a promotion in the background that ended 3 months ago. And I'm like, oh, you're right. I was being lazy. I'll just get new screenshots. So I'm just going back and reflowing every pin. I can't imagine needing to do this, but why not, right? All right. Let's try this sucker out. Firing up the Nomad. What you're basically watching is a ghetto-ass manufacturing line right now. Voltage works. One more down. Another laser bear case, because we'll blow through these and then I'll go to the ones that take longer afterwards. Oh yeah, that's right. Top first. You gotta wiggle that corner in. Come on, focus. Here we go, yeah. Top first to get the corner of the SCART connector in. And snap. Done. One more of these, and then move on to the other cases. Monty, thank you so much for the super chat. Beer, beer, beer. Yeah, I'm drinking a fizzy water at the moment. A La Croix water. Anybody ever watch Ab Fab? If you do, that joke's very funny. If not, I'm just an idiot. Yeah, Koala, PCBWay saved you hours of labor with your recent project. Right, but you were making quite a few. You weren't making 5 or 6. So absolutely 100%, yeah. All right, let's go through. One more. I guess I didn't test audio on these for you guys on the stream, but I mean, it's pass-through with the traces run. Actually, you know what? This is something I could show on this PCB. Come on, focus, focus, focus. All right, do you all see these pads that are empty? And do you see the DNF R7? So these pads are for a comparator circuit, I believe it's called. And the reason that was even there is we were having a hard time getting real LM1881s. And the fake ones worked, but you needed a different circuit around it. So what we ended up doing, and by we, I mean Ash Evans. Shout out to Ash. He's much, much, much smarter than I am. But what we ended up doing was creating a circuit built into this thing that could allow it to work with both. So these are all, that DNF is just a pass-through resistor, so that all just works fine. This is exactly what you'd expect. It's just an LM1881 and a THS7374. And that's the THS does the buffering, adds some protection, and adds the low-pass filter. And then the sync stripper is the LM1881. But if for whatever reason, in the future, you go to make these and you can only get the fake LM1881s, it'll still work. You just have to populate that last little section over there. So that's the other reason why the website page is probably not going to be populated, or not going to be finished for a couple of days, because I just got to write up all that info, which takes freaking forever. But I wanted to make sure to let everybody know who sat through the stream, because I'm sure my fellow nerds would be like, why is there components missing? It's not missing, it's just there in the design so that if you need it in the future, it's already there waiting for you. Because that's the other thing we wanted to avoid is, you know, during the part shortage, we were getting a lot of fake ones, and we were having a real hard time trying to figure out what the heck's going on with this. I bugged Voltar, I bugged T, I bugged all of my friends about this one, and we couldn't figure it out. And then it turns out it was the fake chips. What actually figured it out was I took one of the old SCART cleaners, and I pulled the LM1881 off of it and put it on the new design, and the new design worked perfect. And we had spent weeks and weeks going and testing it and checking the design, and we thought for sure something got messed up, and then we thought maybe they screwed up the assembly, or then maybe, and when it turned out to be a fake component, we were like, oh, okay, that's going to make sense, because the LM1881 was discontinued a while ago, so. All right, one row done. It's funny how much faster you get at this just on the second one that you do. Anybody see those videos floating around of some of the manufacturing plants doing their through-hole soldering? The guy's like, and it's half impressive and half like, oh, that's why so many components fail when you get them made cheap like that. Gotcha. They're definitely not going back and rechecking every solder point, that's for sure. All right. Quick touch up. If anybody's hearing me breathing, no, I'm not fat, not a breath. No, I'm not trying to breathe sexily into the microphone. It's just I naturally, whenever I'm soldering, I exhale to blow the fumes out away from me, so I'm not getting cancer from the fumes. What are the odds of killing a PCB like this simply by touching it? Excellent question. Touching it on the sides like this, and touching it in the part with no traces on it, and holding it down like that, it is near zero. Unless I was wearing like one of those sweaters that kicks up static electricity. But if I was manhandling the components on it while not being grounded, then yeah, static electricity. To make things worse, I could actually severely damage this, but you wouldn't know it for a month. It would work perfect and then just die, and you wouldn't realize that the static electricity started to kill some of these components. The other thing you'll notice I also do is this is a metal rack. Like this is my table is metal, and my hands are always touching the metal while I'm doing these things. Force of habit. 196 Cupcake. Yeah, if you're into that kind of humor, yeah, I love Ab Fab. I still laugh real hard every time I watch it, but it's not for everybody. Black Jam Alex. Yeah, I saw that video. It just kind of annoyed me. There was no point. It would be different if the purpose of the video was to prove a point, but then the video ended with, "Oh, I didn't feel that much latency." Yeah, yes you did. Yes you did. Put a time sleuth on that and see what you get. I should be doing this in a hot tub. That's funny. Yeah, exactly like water damage in that. Yes and no. So the difference is the damage would be done immediately, and then normal wear and tear would harm it. Whereas water damage, what you're actually doing is microscopic pieces of bits of water are corroding the traces. So this is like skipping to the end of the life. Static electricity zaps would skip this product to the end of its lifespan, and water damage would slowly eat away at that. All right, 2 more to go. What do I have here? What did I get? I haven't seen these components since I ordered them 2 years ago. Okay, so we have more couplers. I probably left the bag in so I could leave a link to whichever ones that you'll need. The SCART Cleaner page will be updated by the end of the weekend, I promise you that. Another brand to make sure that I have multiple links for people. Okay, all right. Good job being thorough. And this is one of those monoprice VGA to DVI adapters. The one that the one I showed off before for use with that. Then I think, let me grab this back out. My butt is sticking up in the air. You're just gonna have to deal with it. All right, and that is the recommended DVI to VGA cable. I will have links to all of this stuff in the main page. So the only thing left to do is these 2 connectors, and then these SCART Cleaner PCBs. Do you know anybody who would want something like this? Because I don't know why I ordered so many. It might have been I had to hit a minimum order to get free shipping or something, but this is just ridiculous. Like, unfortunately, these are going to go into the garbage unless you know anybody that wants them, but it's just the top and bottom to this thing. And I also don't seem to know where the screws went for it and the feet. We'll have to deal with that in a second. That'll be the very end of the stream, as we'll play What the Hell Did Bob Do With It 2 years ago when they were ordered. All right, snapped in. And any other questions about this, please let me know, and I will definitely update the timestamps in this video too, just so if anybody wants to go back, you could get to the relevant parts without having to sit through all of the soldering. Should be doing a stream tomorrow as well with Beast. Lag testing FGCOS. Very much looking forward to that because I haven't used it at all. So we're going to be doing some pretty interesting stuff. My plan, I don't know, I'm going to try to do this beforehand so I don't just fumble the first half hour of the stream, but my plan beforehand is to get a controller wired up to GamePadla, that live stream I did a couple months ago for that Windows-based lag testing device. Then I'm going to run that on my laptop, which is, I would say, above average shape for your average couple-year-old laptop. And that, because I did IT for so long, I'm sure it could be faster, but it's not nearly as bad as, something riddled with spyware. So, average laptop, run the lag test, and then install FGCOS and run the lag test again and see if we can get some hard number measurement differences. And then I'd also like to do that with Linux with another friend of mine, maybe next weekend, just to see. But I suck so bad at Linux, I would never do that stream by myself. I would need a Linux person with me to walk me through everything. Because I'm sure everything has to be done through the command line, because that's what Linux people do. All right, power it on. Low voltage sync. High voltage sync. Beautiful. Everything works. I guess I should probably just load up. I probably should have done this in the other ones too, but let me. All the colors working. I didn't test that on the others. Let me just, I don't want to mail one of these out to a friend of mine and have them be like, dude, blue doesn't work? What happened to blue? So let's just. All the colors there. Nice. Hey, Monty, thank you for another super chat. Very, very, very awesome. I really appreciate it. I will be drinking a beer or two later. Not many. I get allergies now, which is weird because I didn't my entire life. I used to even tease a cousin of mine. Oh, wait. Let me aim this up for you so you can at least laugh with me if it doesn't work. I used to tease a cousin of mine who always got bad allergies, and I thought it was like a cold. That's all. I didn't realize what it was. And then maybe 2019, all week long, I started to get scared. Like, it feels like I'm, like, disoriented, almost, like, mildly mushroom tripping, and I have a cold and a hangover, but for, like, a week straight. And it just hit me. Like, wait a minute. I heard somebody talking about allergies, and I called my cousin. I was like, do allergies feel like this? And he goes, yeah. That's what I've had every year since I was a kid. So now every year, whenever I get them, I call them and apologize again for doubting them. But yeah, it's brutal. I never realized it, and I just started getting it. It's fine my whole life. Okay, so all the colors worked. Winter hell. I pressed a button and the thing reacted. I don't see a problem. What latency? Yeah. That was the first couple of years of the comment section of RetroRGB, but follow what latency with, you're just lying to sell your products. But I don't sell products. Okay, last one. And then I'll see if I have the parts to put those cases on. And I'm also going to try to figure out what to do with those rest of them. And now I also have 6 SCART cleaners to send out to people. I got to send one to T. He originally helped with the design. I'll probably send one to Ash at some point, because so did he. Ash did the original design and helped with the... Does anybody know how to say it? Comparator? Comparator? Comparator, I think it is. I say everything wrong. Some stuff makes sense, though. Like reverse telecine? That doesn't sound right at all. It looks like it should be reverse telecine, but nope. Also, I don't think I need to solder every single pin because not every pin is going to be connected. I just like to for strength. I like to know that if somebody jams a SCART connector into this thing, all of the pins are evenly taking the brunt. So that's the other reason why I do all of it. Also, laziness. I don't want to have to remember which pin was which for each one. I guess we could have just done that on the pads and not populated the metal for the pads that don't go to really anything, but I don't know. You know what we could do? Let me do the, in fact, if people are still suffering through this stream, let me do something weird, because maybe I'll screw up and it'll be funny. But let's wire one of these for voltage and see what happens. Let me just run a test first to make sure it's working, and then let's do that. Yeah, like cinema, exactly. That's what a few people have told me. So that's why I'm trying to pronounce it right. It just sounds so weird to me. All right. Power it on. Load up the HD RetroVision, and I'm also going to grab my multimeter as we wait for that to load. Which things output 15 kilohertz? Yeah, 240p and 480i. So anything under 480p. Yeah, a wool jogging suit and socks in a carpeted room. Yeah, that's not gonna work right. All right, so we have all colors, and down here, let me just flip the switches real quick. Sync stripper works. Beautiful. So let's unplug this. Let's check a few things. Let me unplug the SCART connector real quick and just double check which one is voltage. And let's see if I could aim this down so you all could see a little bit better. Let's get, all right. I'll get a Sharpie so I don't have to worry about forgetting. All right. So let's see which one is the USB voltage and which one is ground going into this. Not a lot of solder in these holes, so I'm going to actually flood some with some more solder so that we could both connect wires to it easier, but also have an easier time getting a reading. I am so glad I figured out how to have these manufactured, because those USB inputs are so hard to solder to this thing. It is ridiculous. Like, the trouble I'm having now is nothing compared, because it's already in there. So, trying to do these by hand. I think I ended up having to give, I almost had to send one to Cruise. I think I finally figured it out right towards the end, but it was so hard to get that in there. All right, let's try again and see. Do I get a voltage? No, I didn't get a voltage because it wasn't plugged in. What an asshole. All right, try this again. Where's going to be an easy spot then for voltage? Am I on the right thing here? Oh, well that's even, that might actually be even easier. Let's see. I'm going to mark a pad off that is definitely 5 volts. And let me just double check on the bottom if I could find an easier spot on the bottom. Maybe there's a via or something I can get. 6. Oh, there is a via right on the bottom. All right. So let's see. Check for voltage here. Not getting any. Let me double check this. All right, let me double check a ground point. I'll check the chat in a second. All right. All right, so that's definitely a confirmed ground point. So let's go back to voltage, and I'll tap all the SCART pins again. I have it outputting the Nomad using a well-built cable, so I should be able to get voltage on this. And I'm getting readings like 0.45, so I'm tapping into the video voltage, definitely. I might have to get that SNES back, try a different SCART cable on it. This is yet another reason why I don't have voltage running through the device itself. Yeah, it's weird. I thought for sure there was going to be blanking voltage on here or something. Yeah, I got voltage right here. Third down. 1, 2, 3. Found it. I don't know why it wasn't working. I think, you know, I use this $8 multimeter on these streams because I'm trying to prove the point to people that you don't need to spend a ton of money on it, but that's what you get. I had to touch each of these pins like 3 times before I got an accurate reading. So I still think that it's good advice to tell people, just buy any multimeter for tone and voltage, but that's why you would buy one of the better ones. You all saw how shitty that was. Hey Ryan, I am modding one of these so you could power it directly from the SCART connector, which I don't recommend people do, but I'm going to demonstrate why. Bubba, thank you very much for the super chat. Did Voltar have anything to say about the Battle Royale fight idea? No, not at all. He and I bust each other's chops so hard all the time that wouldn't even put a dent in anything. Brian, I do wish it had smaller probe tips, but you know, it was so cheap that I'm happy with it exactly as it is. And Nick from HD RetroVision one time taught me or messaged me about a Fluke brand multimeter, which was way better, and it was like half price on Amazon that day. So I bought that one, and it was great, but I never use it for this exact reason. Uh-oh, I found another sack of SCART Cleaner related things, I think. Is this the, Yeah, I got more parts to make more of these. But they have the wrong VGA jacks on them. Ah, okay. That's probably going to go to Cruise for use whenever. All right. What else we got? What else we got? I need one wire. And ground should be shared, so I believe I'm just going to need one wire only, nothing else. So let me... Sorry, going through my pile of wires now. Wire and wire stripper. Go. I think this might be a little too thick, but, you know, at least it'll be very clear what we're doing here. Yeah, I think that's pushing it. I think I'm just asking for that to pull right off the via. So let me use this one. All right, tin the end. So this isn't the very heat resistant wires. So when I show the end picture on this, it's going to look ugly because the wire, like that rubber around the wire is going to be pulling up. But remember, this is not a manufacturing job. This is we're going to show voltage and how it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. The fact that we showed exactly 5 volts on this Genesis cable, it's probably going to work perfectly. However, if we end up finding a cable that doesn't have exactly 5 volts, then you'll know why I don't recommend this. But it's me on a live stream, so it's probably going to work flawlessly when I'm trying to show how it won't. Just like it would probably fail when I would try to show how it almost always doesn't. All right, let's okay. Yeah, much lighter gauge wire, so this probably isn't going to pull off of the via. Or if it does, it'll probably stay long enough to do the experiment and then pull off. We could use the pad on the other side as well, which would be much easier. I just, it'd be nice if it worked like this. So it would kind of look okay. No, huh? Might need some flux. Yeah, a little bit of flux would probably do it. Oh, perfect. Rosin flux pen, right here. Whoa! Whoa! Did you all see that? Holy crap, that pen hadn't been used in a long time. I gotta go get some paper towels right now. Wow, that's terrible. Let me try to get this on camera without spilling it. Well, at least there's one fun fail for this stream. I don't know if you all could see that, but that's what just gooped out. Looks like a night at Voltar's house. Huh, that sucks. Well, hey, at least there's flux on this one. It's just going to look ugly as hell. Let me clean that up and then get some isopropyl. Yeah, let me, I mean, we got all this flux here. Let's freaking use it. Let's get this thing on and see if we can do it. Let's see if autofocus works too. This is no clean. No clean doesn't mean that it's not messy. No clean simply means that you don't have to clean it off because it'll be non-conductive. Well, worked though. That's kind of funny. Luckily, we have isopropyl right here. Let me wipe the sucker off. Ugh, it's seeped into the other side and everything. All right, let me get some isopropyl. We'll clean the sucker, and then we'll try it out. Q-tips, brand new, popping it right on camera. Whenever Cruz would work on a prototype for me, and then he would send it to me to test, I would always give it a complete alcohol bath, take beautiful pictures of the work, and then test it. And he'd always be like, why the hell didn't you test it first? Well, because if I have to make a modification to it, it's going to look ugly. And this is great work. I want the work to be shown off first. I want people to know that's what you do. And then if I need to hack something nasty on it, like what you see right here, people will know that was me. All right. Now, yes, technically this is no clean, so I could have just left it on, but there's just something about leaving goop on top of something electrical right before you plug it in. My brain just can't handle it. Dried already. All right. Yeah, I think the issue, by the way, is I haven't used this pen in a while and I kept it on its side. So I think just leaving it like this and letting gravity do the work is going to be what prevents that from happening again. And I'm also going to snap a very quick picture of this just to leave on the website for people that want to do it this way, even though I really recommend not to, which hopefully I can get a quote-unquote bad example, but all right, I think that's all we need. I still have never used an ultrasonic cleaner. I would like to a lot. I'd like to own one. I just don't have enough room for all that stuff. All right, I just verified that the pictures I took with my cell phone came out perfect. So let's try this sucker and see what happens. No power cable. We are only plugging in VGA out. And let's get the view over here so that if something goes wrong, you all could laugh. It's okay. I don't mind screwing things up as long as other people get to laugh with me. So powering this on. I'm going to wait for the Nomad to boot so I can get the HD RetroVision suite on. And okay, so let's see what we got. Now it's powered by the SCART cable itself. Oh, that's interesting. So when I have it run through the sync stripper, oh, I must have soldered it to the wrong spot. Oh, yeah. Yep, that's, we're gonna have to redo that. That makes sense. I have it flipped to the wrong, I have it soldered to a spot that is pulled on the other side of the switch. So all that through the VIO is for nothing. What an ass. Sorry, everybody. All right, very quick to get this back over. I'm just going to use the pad that I found because that should work exactly the way expected. It's not going to be as pretty, but that's fine. I'm just going to whip this out real quick. Am I standing right in front of the screen? Yeah, what an ass. Anybody who sits through these live streams know how much different they are than those higher production videos. All right. Wire run. We gotta bring it there. Snip. So this is not going to be nearly as nice looking as just a quick jumper, but it'll totally work. Add some solder to both spots. Hopefully there's still plenty of flux stuck on it from before. Some tweezers. Wow, this is ugly because the thing pulled up. I'm not even going to take a picture of that. I'll have to redo it, but I'll show you on stream because I'm shameless. Where's the... All right. So that was barely any lead coming out, and the heat melted that. So that's why I would probably redo this for a picture on the website. But that just goes straight down. And then on this side, it just comes through the back. We just run it through the hole and have it come over there. And that's also a shitty cold solder joint. But you know what? We're just trying to make this thing work just for the stream. I'll redo it after it's over. So same thing, firing this up. Okay. Didn't work. Interesting. Huh. I wonder why. Because if there was no power going to it at all, I wouldn't even get video on the screen. The video actually doesn't look right on screen anyway. It kind of looks off a little bit. So let me get this thing off here. And yeah, and I lose video when power is disconnected. So this might actually be the perfect explanation as to why you shouldn't be wiring this direct, because it's not. Yeah, so the video looks perfect when it's plugged in with USB, but when I had the other one, it didn't. Yeah, it looks too dim. So I think while this wasn't the demo that I had hoped to do, it did 100% prove the point I was trying to make, and that powering it off of a SCART connector, powering two devices, powering a THS-7374 and an LM1881 off of a SCART connector, that you're trying to hope that there's 5 volts on it and not 12 volts or 8 volts or whatever else, it's not a good idea. So while this was definitely not the experiment I expected to do, the results were exactly the same, in that it's not going to work right. Even if you have it soldered to the right place, it's not going to be enough power coming from the SCART cable, and it's probably not going to be a good thing. Also, what if you're outputting at a console that you're having a ROM cart, and that you also have like a Bluetooth mod plugged into, and an LED mod, and it's all this stuff starts to add up, and now you plug in a cable that's got 2 chips like that in there. It's not the best idea. So kind of a fail, but also proved the point exactly the way I had hoped. So let me slap one of the cases together, and I think that we're going to be done after that. So any other questions for this, let me know, because I'll be bailing probably in like 15 minutes or so. I just want to put one of these together with the case on it, because I think it's neat. That's really it. That's the only reason. All right. Let me grab one of the other ones I did so I could double check the components. I had all of this stuff spec'd out, and been a long time. So there are, this is one of the ones I did last year, 2 years ago now, whatever. And you can see there's 2 spacers. I use another nut as a second spacer, and then rubber feet on the bottom, and then these screws. So not really sure where all those went, but let's see if we can match them up and get enough for 2. We got not the right size. Those will work. Those will work. And these will work. Holy shit, they're all right here. This is the one. Nice. Good guess. I'll need a screwdriver. That should be it. So how many would we need? 4, 4, and 4. So if you're making your own, so like we were talking about before, if you're in Brazil, or if you're, if you need to make, I would say more than 5, and you just want to make your own, these PCB cases are great. Greg's are obviously way better, but I mean, and they come with the Castlemania ones, Rondo product one, whatever. I forgot what I'm supposed to call it now. My apologies, Ryan. All right, so if I'm doing this right, this would go through the bottom. It would connect first to the nut. There. Hand tight is all you would need. And then you screw that down on top of the other side. Let me get that. That's it. Real easy. And then if that lines up, that would mean that I would just need to do yes and yes. All right, so I'm going to just do that on all sides real quick. Hopefully the stream was mildly entertaining and people could learn a little bit about Extron equipment, sync strippers, and what you would want to do on it. And also why, even if you do get another brand SCART Cleaner, whatever they might call it, if you power it off their own SCART cable, that's the issues you could run into. It's not just this one. And I'm certainly not talking badly about anyone that offers that option, because you absolutely might run into a scenario in which everything's perfect if you have the right cable, if you have one designed to be powered like that. So there are definitely, it's not one of those things like you should never ever do, but for a device that was designed as a measurement tool, as a precise measurement tool that we're supposed to be using for video analysis, I wanted to completely and totally remove any chance of results being skewed because of power, and I think that was the right move. All right. I am also, since we're putting the case on this one, and since this was the sticky goo one, I'm going to go wash the flux off of my hands real quick. So if you're listening or if you're just joining, I didn't forget, leave my microphone on and start peeing. I'm just washing my hands. It's going to happen one of these days. I'm pretty sure I'm going to just forget, but this is just washing my hands. Sticky ass flux is still on my fingers. Hey, thank you very much, Ryan. Really, really appreciate it. Shadow Mask, yeah, man. Time is the biggest thing for me. If I had time to, I would love to hang out in all of these different places. I had a great time on Ron's stream the other week, too. I was exhausted, though. I felt so bad. I'm usually way more energetic than that, but I'm on a laptop in the kitchen making bacon. I am jealous. There is always room for bacon. I could have just eaten, and I'd still want bacon. All right. I can't tell if my hands are still sticky or if the outside of the PCB is sticky. I'm just going to scrub this one down with an alcohol brush when I'm off stream in a minute. So I got the top connected, but I also just want to check real quick. Do I still have feet for the bottom? Let me see. It would be very cool if I could put this together properly for the stream. But if we're footless, we're footless. Oh, I think this might work. Will you believe I have 3 feet left? How the fuck I end up with 3 feet? Well, this one's going to be a hobbled. Yeah. That's pretty funny. Where should the 3rd foot go? I'm going to guess over here. It's going to wobble either way, but whichever one of my friends is getting this is going to have a wobbly SCART cleaner. A footless wobbly SCART cleaner. The other one I think we could put just the stick-on feet. All right. One completed. Missing a foot. And it's going to need an alcohol bath. Let me throw the other one together. And then the stream is over. So any other questions, anything you need to know, or just anything you want to chat about, let me know. Now's the time. And we will bail shortly after this. I need 4 more of those. Four more of these. 8 of these. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. And once again, the SCART Cleaner page on the website, if you're watching this within a day of this going live, it's going to show the old version. I'm going to try so hard tonight to update everything. I just might not have time to do it. I might not be able to until, I might not actually get to it until Sunday, depending on a whole bunch of craziness. But tomorrow I'm definitely going to be doing that stream with Beast unless something happens. I'm really excited to check that out and see. I think somebody else had asked. I hadn't been giving updates to FGC OS because I wanted to wait until it was in a. I wanted to wait till it was in a position like it is now, but I also wanted to have some form of measurement for people. And once the Game Padla thing was released, I realized that's going to be a really great way to do it. And the only reason, 2 reasons I put it off this long is, one, I was waiting for my friend to have a Linux build of something we were working on done. I think he's just been really busy. And once I saw Beast post like, hey, I just did a walkthrough of how I install FGC OS. So I was like, oh, all right, then we're doing this with Beast because he's already got a tutorial up. I could pass people to his live stream if you want to see it, and you'll be able to see it live in mine. So I just thought that was perfect for all this. Funny, these screws are the perfect length if you had feet, and they're just too long without them, so the bottom of this one's going to flop around. So my apologies to whichever one of my friends gets a floppy SCART cleaner. Oh, one more thing about the coupler. I will show that. Hold on. I will show that in 4 screws from now. Actually, let me check one more spot for feet as well, just because I'm curious now. But I'm going to show the coupler thing in a second. I wish I had time to cut up these streams and make them into coherent videos, because stuff like this, like helpful info that I don't want to tell people to just sit through a stream to get to. But all right, so here's how these things come. Let me comes with these that allow you to screw in, and even if you wanted to, if you wanted to screw it in like this, if you're going into another device by wanting to plug in directly, like I did with the RG bench, actually, let me just show you. See the issue? You can't, because they hit. So you just need to grab a big old pair of pliers and unscrew them. And that's how you're able to do that. So what you need is, I think I have them right here. What you need is this. You gotta just grab it, and then you don't pull as if you're like ripping it out. You put pressure so that when you screw it out, the threads catch when you screw it out, when you unscrew it. So pull and unscrew. And just be careful not to bend the metal like I did here. You could bend it back afterwards, but yeah, all right. Getting those out. So that's required on that, but let me bend this piece back in. You could kind of see. So we'll just grab it and pull it out. And the easiest way to straighten it out, really, you just, as long as the pins themselves aren't bent, just the outer. All right, nice and firm. Nice and firm. There you go. So let me just double check if I don't have more feet, and then I'm gonna call it. Yeah, you know, I'm going to be, I could pull them off of these, because these are not going to be, here's a beta with the original. This is the one with the original 1881. So this is the one that I had where I had to swap the 1881 to prove what the problem was. And then this is just the original with it. All right, yeah, so these are, I'm going to steal feet from these so my friends won't get footless SCART cleaners. The only reason I'm even keeping these are for when I know eventually one of my friends is going to call me up and be like, I think I got bad 1881s, how could I test? And I'll just mail these to them. Okay. One, two, three, four. 1, 2. Three, 4. All right. So I guess that's the other thing I have to remember to put on the page is my link to this with all the parts in it. I have to find those links from 2 years ago. And as well as the feet that I use that fit perfect on this thing. I mean, they stick out a hair, but who cares? They keep the thing in place. They keep it from sliding, so. Got a lot of work to do on the SCART Cleaner page, but whatever. All right. SCART Cleaner with feet, old betas without. Times you wish your own website had an update all script of its own. Yeah, you're telling me, dude. It is so much of it really needs to be updated, and I just don't have the time. And it sucks because it's not only it's hurting everybody. Not only could I have better and clearer information out there, but at the same time I'm losing money because if I had all of the links updated to where they should be, I would make more money off of affiliate links, and so everybody loses, right? You know, and I hate stuff like that. And on the flip side, I like it when it all works right, you know, when I'm able to get the right products out to people. And if there's an affiliate link, awesome. If not, whatever, that's fine too. But, you know, I will, since we're here and since I'm cleaning this stuff up, let me pull the ends off of these. Anybody need nickel bags? So that way I could have them ready for my whoever friends I end up giving these to. I wonder if I could do it with my smaller pliers. Are there any capture devices that do the heavy lifting? I only have a laptop without a dedicated graphics card. So I think what's probably best for you is to get one of the Tinks. You get the Tink 2X, you can get yourself one of those Can't Link $20 capture cards. They're fine, and that's probably cool. And if you can afford any of the other ones, you don't have to worry as much about phase and any of that other stuff. It'll just work. Oh, hey, look at that. Perfect fit. I don't even have to worry about bending them. Well, brute force isn't always the right way, huh? Cupcake, if you find a link that's broken, how could people tell me? Honestly, unless it's something really important, don't even bother. And I mean that in a nice way. There's just so much that's broken that I just got to buckle down one day and like, maybe I could ask a couple of friends to just jump in and do posts in the weeklies for me for like a month, and then I could just spend a month all week long updating every page on the site. The other thing that I love about RetroRGB.link is that if I have a product that I want to share with people, I put it through that link forwarder, and whenever there's a link change, all I have to do is change it in one place, and all of the places that you have that forwarding link automatically update. So that just makes my life so much easier. So I definitely got to try and switch every link I can over to stuff like that. Okay, almost done. Any other fat people watching? Just watch me use my gut to catch that thing as it fell. Love it. Not quick enough that time. All right, there we go. SCART cleaners with I mean, I guess if people wanted to, you could put flat-headed screws into these to keep them in place, but I love that they're quick release. So if you want to switch between a VGA cable and one of these, that's all you got to do. Oop, bent pin, bent pin. Oh, geez, it's bent on this side too. This one must have been bent from the factory or something. That's never good. I'm tempted to just throw that one out. Let me use this one just to, as a pin straightener. I don't think I could have done that while twisting off the screws. This one's real bad. This one must have come from the factory like that. Let's test the rest real quick. Wow, I wish I paid attention to which bag that fell out of, because if there's a brand that's coming more bent than others, that's not good. Is there such thing as a SCART right angle coupler? Not that I know of. I think we talked when we were doing the SCART coupler about making different versions for that exact reason, and we just never got around to it. But right angle would be harder because you would need multiple PCBs. And one of the things that I loved about the SCART coupler is that because the everything was so close together, all of the quality stayed really high. You never had to worry about adding one and losing signal. And in fact, it worked better than many just SCART cables. All right, so this one, good on both sides. Let's test every one now. Good on both sides. Good on both. So it really was only a couple. I bet you it was the one that came out of these then. Huh. Well, I guess that's another lesson to learn is when you buy these things, check their pins right away and see. I think we have two that are bad here. Huh. Okay, fixed that one. One more to go. Yeah, I hate throwing stuff out. Yeah, I think this one's going in the garbage. All right, well, I think that's the end of the stream. Thank you for everybody who hung out. Hopefully this product is something a couple of people could use. I imagine this isn't going to be a big seller, but I also imagine this is going to be one of those things that every once in a while, somebody's going to stumble across it and be like, holy crap, that's exactly what I needed. And so I think they're going to sell very slowly, but I think it's, I'm glad that Ryan was willing to stock them, because this is going to be a consistent but low volume seller, I would guess. So yeah, so, Jai, you might want to go back to the beginning of the stream in a minute when this ends, because it's I kind of already went through all of it. Not being rude, I just but you know what? Forget it. Let's do a quick summary. So SCART cleaners, SCART in, D-sub output, RGBS in, RGBS out. It does not change the sync. It does not change the frequency. So if you're putting 240p in, you get 240p out. It is very specifically for people that need clean sync on a D-sub output. So things like Extron devices, as well as Datapath Vision capture cards, which was their original intended purpose. So it's really just for that. You could probably figure out a couple of other use cases. XM29 could definitely be one of them. But overall, it's really just a niche product. But yeah, XM29, I have one of those now, so I should show that off in a different post or something. But yeah, SCART Cleaner. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you all have a great weekend. And yeah, I'm glad to see this thing back in stock and ready to go. So the link is in the description for anybody who wants to buy it. And the pages on the site will be updated.